with this device. But let me show you how you kind of put it together and how it works overall, okay? So most importantly, safety first, all right? So most of you guys have this kind of device at home, okay? It has the engine on the bottom, and then it has the other two connective parts. So I'll take it apart and put it back together so you guys can see how it's supposed to work out, okay? So you gotta twist this out of the lock and take it out. Inside you have the blade, okay? This is very sharp, but you have to also turn this to the left to unlock the handle. All right, so now that the handle's unlocked, you can safely lift this out. You can lift out your blade. Okay, you have to take these all out. Most of them are dishwasher safe. These come with multiple blades. This is the regular serrated edge. Okay, it's very sharp. Okay, it comes with another blade for chopping, and it also has attachments that you could use for shredding as well as grating. Okay, but I really don't think they're that good. This thing is primarily best used for grating. Okay, I mean not grating, for blending up things. So you have the pulse. You can see here there's dough, there's on, off. The pulse is, which means to hit it, and if you've seen a recipe, it says to pulse it. Just you hit that button, it goes boom, 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 and I'll show you when I'm doing the dough. Okay, just to turn it on just means to keep it going. Maybe if you're doing an emulsification for like a dressing or something like that. All right. So now to put it back on, you can't just throw everything like this haphazardly. You gotta put it on a certain way. So you gotta put it almost like at, I would say, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock degree position. Then you gotta turn it up. Sorry, mine is a little closer, and then go from this position and lock it. All right. Then once this is locked in, so you go from here. Some are further away. Mine is closer. So lock it in place. Then you see how this little imprint will fit this like a Lego. Just let it drop in there. So now you can see that that's on safely. And same thing with this. Slide it from left to right to lock. You hear that click. I'll do it one more time. You can hear the click. All right, so just so we know one last time, just boom, boom, boom. Okay, click, take that off, click, take that off, this comes out, okay? Put it back, put this in place, put that guy right down there, and click this guy right back in place as well. It won't work, it won't even turn on. Like right now, you probably can't see it, but I have the button on, but if I turn it to the lock position, it'll come on automatically. As a safety feature, as soon as I move it off, the blade stops. So that's really good for safety. And it won't start backwards, okay? Just always remember the handle faces you. I've seen many students have the handle here, and they're like, oh, chef, it's not working, it's not working. It has to be like this, okay? So, like I said, for pulse, you hit the pulse button, you'll hear the engine just kick up every time you tap the pulse button. So, listen up. You can see the blade. That's just a pulse. And we're going to kind of do that. Okay, we're kind of going to make a dough that's similar to almost like a biscuit dough where we make it mealy, which means that you have the small granules of butter. In this recipe, we're going to use 1 stick of butter. But the granules will be nice and mealy, so almost a little pebbly, okay, or pea size, as they say, all right? So let's look at our mise en place for this. We have our 1 stick of butter, okay? We have our vinegar, okay, preferably white, 1 teaspoon. We have our 1/4 cup of water. Okay, we have our flour that's been sifted, all right, and we have our salt as well. So I'm not going to sift this so much together because they're going to blend up real nice in here, okay? And last but not least, I have my egg, my huevo right here, okay? So let's put this in there. Okay, the recipe really says with your fingertips, but we're going to cheat and use the machine. All right, let me just put this guy over here. So carefully, and without making a giant mess, just try to get the flour in there. In goes the salt. Okay, so now I'm going to pulse it a little bit. Like I said, we're cheating using the machine, so we'll sift it just by pulsing it. Just tap it 3-4 times. That's about 6-7. But if I open it up, you can see how it's much more finer and much more smoother than when it was. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna pulse in my stick of butter, okay? I want to actually cube it up. Hey, baby. So, I'm actually gonna use my kitchen shears. Just, you know, kitchen shears are a great tool. It just means like a culinary scissor, okay? And I'm gonna use these just to cut it into small pieces right in, instead of mealing it or dicing it. Okay, just be careful if you're doing this because it could be a little slippery, all right? But make sure that this is pretty ice cold, okay? All right, savvy. So now, I'm gonna put this guy back on. Remember, turn it from left to right. It's off right now, so it's not automatically gonna come on. And I'm gonna pulse it until we get that mealy consistency, okay? Maybe about 10, 15 times and we'll check it. So let's check it out now. Got some long pulses there. Some flour may come out because I have this other contraption on here. So let's see how we are now. So if I take a look at it, it's still kind of pea-sized, but if I push it together, you see how it's kind of forming a crust-like substance. All right, so let me just pulse this a little longer until we get a finer, all this flour everywhere. All right. All right, just clean up a little bit. Remember, clean station. I don't know. I don't have a crack editing team, so I can't just edit this out all the time. All right, so just let it go on for a little bit. You always want to put your hand over it, as you can see I'm doing like this. All right, so let's check it out now. All right, so I think that's more what we're looking for. So there's no big pieces, and it's more really mealy. So if I squeeze it together, you can see how that butter is really incorporated nicely into the flour, okay? So let me clean up a second here, and we'll start incorporating the rest of our ingredients. And this guy right here will pretty much do all the work for us, all right? So now I'm gonna whisk together my wet before I incorporate it into the dry, so it's all evenly distributed. So I'm gonna put my one egg in here, my one tap, open it up just like that with your finger. 2 points into the garbage can, okay? Ice cold water, quarter cup in there. And our vinegar, okay? All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, so we're gonna whisk this up a little bit. But at this point, if you wanna get that nice yellow color as well as the flavor in the crust, that kind of kicks it up a little bit. Sometimes I like to use this. You could add a little curry powder, preferably the Jamaican style, not like Indian or Madras powder. This will give it the color and more of that like Jamaican patty flavor. This right here is the sazon, which we're going to use in the beef as well, okay, when we start prepping that. I'm going to put 1 pack of this in there for flavor, but also for the color, okay? All right, and we do this in a liquid because the coloring and food coloring, which comes from the annatto, which is achote, which we'll go over further when we do the beef, is a natural coloring agent made from the seeds of a certain dried plant. Where does that achote come from? That's my Spanish wife. We all know it. It's the seeds of a plant. Yeah, an annatto seed or achote. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this together. See, it's a group effort here. Okay, get that yolk nice and combined. All right, I'll just hit this for a second. All right, sweet. So now I'm gonna incorporate my wet into my dry, but I'm going to do that. Make sure my machine is off. But I'm going to take out this bit here. Usually with the safety feature, it won't work. Have it on right now because this bit here is not in there. So that's another safety feature. But for emulsification and for pouring things in, you could remove this and you'll see it will work. So I'm going to slowly pour this in. Actually, let me get a sieve real quick, just so I don't make a complete mess of things. And this is good, especially if you're doing emulsifications and stuff like that. So I'm going to add this in as I pour it. Okay. Alright, so now they kind of come together. So if I stop it now, you can kind of see it coming off the sides. And it's actually making the crust itself. It's coming together. It's doing the work for you. Okay? So we're going to let this go just a little more until I completely see it off the sides. Once it's clear of the sides, we're good to go. Once it balls up. Okay. And there we see, guys. Check it out. It feels a little wet, and if it feels a little wet, that's fine, because we're going to add more flour to it as we roll them out. So now, if you've been brave enough or chefy enough to have made the dough, we're going to wrap it up now real quick. I'm going to clean up a little bit and then get my mise en place for my beef. But let me show you how we do this first. All right, so now for this dough to be good, just like any crust, we're gonna you know, wrap it up, let it stay in the fridge a little bit. Just put a little flour on your board, on your hands, okay? We're gonna remove this guy, but be careful with the blade, okay? Kind of looks like a big thing of Vermont cheddar spread. All right. Now this recipe yields about 12 discos, which are about more the smaller size than the larger size. Okay, so I'm just going to work this a little bit. Just fold it over a few times. Kind of like how we did with the garlic knot dough. Just go under, kind of make that mozzarella ball. You want a nice smooth crust, okay? And you don't want to overwork it, remember, because we want it to be crispy, okay? All right, so I think we're good right about now, okay? So I'm going to put this in the fridge for at least 2 hours, or if you want to, overnight. Make sure you get no scragging here. Okay, you want it to all come together, so if you got to work a little more, it's fine. Okay, remember that other method where you can kind of bowl it with your palm of your hand. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to wrap this in plastic cling film. Okay, if I can get it over here. All right, and remember, don't add too much more flour to it, because you will be working with this again, because you will divide this into at least in half and then 6 pieces across to make 6 little balls, so we can make the discs from those balls. So kind of make a patty it together. All right, let me put this guy here. You know. All right, always put the cling film out first. Put this down and go over. Okay. All right. Now just pull underneath lightly. Don't pull it too tight. Okay. So you got like a nice little packet. All right. We'll pop this guy in the fridge. Okay. Make sure the label. Someone throw me a pen. Anyway, if I would have a marker. Someone show a marker. All right. Someone handed me a nice marker. So with your noodle green, put today's date. Always label. What's today's date again?